We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello students, today we will discuss about the problems in quantitation. This is the most important troubleshooting part for LC systems. These are the contents that we will see. These are the general considerations. So quantitative analysis in liquid chromatography is comprised of following steps. Run the calibration samples that contain the known concentration. Measure the size of the bands. Run the sample to be analyzed. So first we need to have the calibration plot that is given over here. Area ratio on one axis and area ratio if internal standard is employed, and on the another axis the known concentration is there. Fourth one in quantitative step is the measure the size of the bands for compounds to be assayed and corresponding internal standards if internal standard is used. So this is the explanation for that, how the concentration of compound can be calculated, and here is the factor, that is CS upon ES, that is a response factor or the area ratio factor. Means here we have to need to calculate the calibration factor too, and that is the CF indicated by CF, and this is usually will be determined one or more times during the assay of the set of a samples for compound X. In the case of internal standardization, a constant volume of the same internal standard solution will be added to all samples and calibrators. Calibrators means the calibration curve standards. The calculation of the concentration of compound is carried out. So this is a concentration of the unknown compounds. How we can find out? For that, we need to have the standard deviation too. So we should note that a precision can be defined for the different situation. Within day precision for a single laboratory, day-to-day precision for a single laboratory, and inter-laboratory precision, that is day to day. So generally it is found that imprecision increases in the sequence of 1 raised to 1 less than 2 less than 3. It is desirable to define as a precision in terms of these different situations because this helps to pinpoint precision problems and can help to solve them. System stability is the kind of as system stability parameters before any experiment to be run. So the precision accuracy of LC method should be determined at the time of method development during the method validation. Simulated samples in the sample matrix as samples for assay must be formulated containing known concentration of the analyte over the range to be reported by the method. For example, if the method is to be applied to the samples containing 1 to 100 milligram per liter of the compound X, then validation samples uh, might be made up of the concentration 1, 5, 20, 50 and 100 milligram per liter. So this is the type of table definition of some common terms used in the measure for the mean, standard deviation, coefficient of variation, CV, the range of C1 values. The range is also used. So when the method is carried out on a routine basis, it is essential to know that the precision accuracy, that is P&A, originally determined for the method for are maintained. This can be checked in various ways: reproducibility, values for samples, data for daily controls, and linearity checks. So calibration factor reproducibility CF values usually are determined one or more times during the analysis of a batch of the samples in a given day. The frequency of calibrations is determined by the tendency of the calibration factor to drift within day. Sample data, analyte concentration in the samples for assay normally do not provide much information on precision or accuracy because we usually do not know what concentration to expect. In some cases, however, the analyte concentration is known to fall within the certain limits and the results outside these limits are then suspect. This is the explanation for daily control should also be there. Linearity checks is the unacceptable precision. So this is a problem that the LC assay will focus during the method development and subsequent routine application of the method. So our approach is to these two kinds of problems is somewhat different. In the first case, we usually are comparing the precision of the assay with the precision we require in the final result. For example, assay results might be required have a precision of within 1% SD, while our initial method may have a precision of within 2%. So in this case, we have to improve the assay procedure so as to reduce imprecision to the target value within 1%. This means identifying the various sources of imprecision and reducing the major contribution to imprecision. So this is our main focus. So minimizing of assay precision during method development. So here are some contribution of baseline noise to imprecision, as you can see in the graph. So imprecision at low concentration. So for there we have three approaches: increase the amount of analyte, increase the detector sensitivity, and decrease the baseline noise and decrease the column volume or dP. Now how we can take the different steps: sample processing, operator dependent, it is operator and volumetric dilution increases. Sample cleanup, operator dependent, what are the aerobatics and all that thing. Sample injection, and what is the usual imprecision associated with that, and that is also indicated in the second column. So generally, data processing calibration is you have the imprecision of 0 to 5%. LC separation is you have the imprecision of 0 to 2% detection. So this is the kind of usual assay procedure steps of the imprecision to the various steps. So usually baseline one is greatest when a band eludes early, that is capacity factor less than 2, and so it is often unwise to position bands in these parts of the chromatogram. Baseline noise often can be reduced by a more powerful cleanup of dirty samples. So these are the further explanation for that. The lower the imprecision of the volumetric dilutions, consider the following recommendation: use calibrated glasswares or correct volumetric additions by weighing much more precise. When weighing samples, use a large enough weight to reduce the imprecision caused by the weighing less than 2%, 0.2%. Check the precision and technique of each operator or automatic dispense module. This is a kind of sample cleanup is there. Imprecision for the sample cleaning steps should be minimized by avoiding sample derivatization. So maximizing analyte recovery in each step of sample cleaning extraction efficiency should be more than 95%, and using internal standards. Sample injection imprecision, data processing, all that thing. Minimizing assay precision during the routine operation. This is important. So how in this section we will briefly review the steps of table 16.2. So what is the table 16.2? That is over here. Imprecision in different step of assay. This is the usual imprecision that we already discussed. And now we will discussing that minimizing sample imprecision during the routine operations. So the first one is the sample processing, sample cleanup, sample injection, calibration. Unacceptable accuracy. Bias in analysis procedures often is associated with one of the following: calibration plots that do not go through the origin, matrix effects, and interferences. So calibration plots that do not go through the origin. and that is the most difficult problem. So in the case of real non-zero intercepts, it's sometimes is found that they are associated with matrix effect. Thus, depending on the condition of a sample when injected, degree of cleanup, kind of solvent buffer used to dissolve the sample, etc., the size of intercept varies. For this reason, the presence of the intercept in the calibration plot or linearity check is a warning that method accuracy can be compromised by any differences in calibrated versus samples. Under these conditions, it is essential that controls for the method be made up in the sample same kind of matrix that the real samples come in. It is recommended that calibrators likewise duplicate the sample matrix. Matrix effects. The method of standard addition is useful to confirm that matrix effects are not important. Here, the addition of known amount of analyte to the sample should result in a predictable increase in analyte concentration as assayed by the LC procedure. It is good idea that we apply this test to several different samples to make sure that matrix effects are same or absent for representative group of samples. Interferences. So here are some calibration plot that do not pass through the origin that is given over here. Commonly used procedures include the chromatographic cross-checks, wavelength ratioing, and diode detectors. Other spectroscopic methods, as by LC microscopy, LC mass spectroscopy. Troubleshooting precision problem. We can use the calibration factors, internal standard peak height, or controls, replicate sample assays. These are the problems. These are the solutions for that. Solving precision problems. So acid drip can be caused by reaction of analyte, evaporation of sample, drip in separation condition, unstable internal standard, changing the performance of LC hardware. Isotonic precision problem during the sample processing, sample cleanup, sample injection, LC separation, detection, data processing, calibration. This is the explanation for the variable response of acid detector, a case study. Now here the absorbance readings for the different detectors is there. Now second chapter is gradient evolution and sample pretreatment. What is gradient evolution? This is a typical illustration. So here what we derive some constant is there, that is K dash, and here is the equation for that. Here one graph is there, effect of gradient time on ion exchange separation with the gradient evolution technique. Here are some gradient evolution problems are there. First one is a drifting baseline, artificial peaks, and solvent demixing. So what is that? The blank here there's some other graph is there. That is blank gradient runs with different solvents. Here you can see the different graph is obtained. Effect of solvent demixing on gradient section. Sample pre-treatment. Any operations involving the sample prior to its injection, that is involved the sample derivatization, second separation of the sample. So common problems and solutions for gradient division. So cause of the problem, symptom is there, and just what kind of solution that we can take for the different areas. For example, the starting mobile phase too strong, so decrease the percentage of B at beginning of the gradient. Suboptimal conditions, increase K dash. Poor column chromatography, increase regeneration time between gradient runs, inject samples at regular intervals. These are the problems and causes are there. Filtration is also necessary. Extraction, three-column derivatization, automation is also required for samplers. So these are some sample pretreatment problems and solution. Contamination by sample filters. So solution can be confirmed by soaking filter in sample solvent and inject aliquots, change filter type, and use alternate cleanup adsorptive loss on sample filters, changes filter type and all that thing. Thank you. This is under the lecture.